main design purpose of the Mercenary class is to use crossbow skills. Now, there are two main categories of crossbow skills, and that's crossbow ammunition skills such as explosive shot and galvanic shards, and grenade skills such as explosive grenade and gas grenade. Based on which of these skills you want to use, you should look at entirely different passives and gear setups. For crossbow ammunition skills, it's pretty straightforward to spec in the passive tree. You'll be fine going with the general damage nodes such as projectile damage, increased damage with two-handed weapons, and increased attack damage. This, in addition to defensive stats investments such as armor or evasion, as well as crossbow reload speed, should make you good to go in most cases. Obviously, you will need to ensure that your AoE and clearing is on point, so using supports like Scattershot where you get 2 additional projectiles is great. Also, the Fork support gem in combination with the Split Shot passive node works very well for better clearing, as projectiles will fork to nearby enemies with an additional fork projectile. The Ricochet gem also gives a high probability of projectiles chaining from terrain without any damage penalty, and this also has good synergy with nodes from the passive tree, increasing this chain chance further. For clearing, you should also evaluate if the different Herald skills can give you something, such as the Herald of Ash, Herald of Thunder, and Herald of Ice. The crossbow ammunition skills offer different elemental damage types, so playing around with different combinations of these skills along with the Heralds is definitely something you could explore. Also, there's the 3 Dragons helmet that converts different elemental ailments so that you can, for instance, freeze enemies with lightning skills. This way, you could, for instance, go for a combo of Galvanic Shards and Herald of Ice. As for crowd control, there is also the possibility of going for stun and knockback. For instance, the projectile of Explosive Shot deals 70% physical damage, and since stun buildup is more effective with physical damage, this could be a way to go. There's plenty of passive nodes near the starting point of the tree that increase stun buildup greatly. Also, Explosive Shot has knockback by default, and there are nodes in the passive tree that can boost this effect even further. Now, you could also go for grenade skills, and there are plenty of them. However, this requires a different build setup, as there are many passive tree nodes and support gems specifically designed to work well with grenades. First of all, there are dedicated grenade passive nodes in the tree. For instance, the Cluster Bombs node gives an additional projectile to all grenade skills, and in combination with the Scattershot, this will fire 4 grenades at a time. There's also the Grenadier node that gives you a +1 cooldown use, which is great because many of the grenade skills have cooldowns before they can be fired again. Another potential great node is the Repeating Explosives that gives a chance for grenades to activate the second time. Now, if you have 4 grenades firing at the same time, you will get a 15% chance per grenade, meaning that you would have a 60% chance for at least one of them activating a second time. All of these passive nodes are definitely great for grenade builds, but they do come with a trade-off. They give little to no damage increase, and you often have to spend a lot of points leading up to them. This is why it can be a challenge to get enough damage on grenade builds and make them viable. It's definitely possible to achieve, and we have many community builds proving this already, but it's something to keep in mind. As for the support gems, there are dedicated grenade supports available, such as the Long Fuse giving 30% more damage in exchange for increased duration before the grenades activate, as well as not being able to detonate them manually. Also, there's the Payload support gem that gives the grenades a 50% chance to activate the second time, but in exchange for reduced cooldown recovery. Now, if you've enjoyed this video so far, make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more upcoming PoE 2 videos. Now, you could go for a combination of a crossbow ammunition skill and grenades as well, but keep in mind that it's easy to end up in a jack-of-all-trades scenario, where you don't really specialize in any of them. However, it's definitely viable to make a hybrid build work as well. Now, if you do choose to go for a hybrid build, you should definitely look into having 2 different weapon sets, where you can assign different passive nodes for each weapon, one for grenade skills and one for ammunition skills. Also, there are crossbows with implicit stats that definitely work in either of these skills' favors, making it even more beneficial to have one weapon per skill setup. For instance, one crossbow type has the implicit that fires 1 additional grenade for grenade skills, while another type gives the bonus of loading an additional crossbow bolt, so using these 2 different types with different passive nodes is usually the best way to go. You could also go for other setups that do not involve crossbow skills at all. The starting point in the passive tree is close to the starting point for warrior, ranger, and monk, so there are endless possibilities of speccing a mercenary into a melee or bow character as well. There are actually plenty of mercenary builds out there that do not use crossbow skills at all. Either way, the skill setups you go for should definitely impact your ascendancy choice. Witch Hunter has the Weapon Master node that makes 20 additional passive points available as weapon set points. Now, remember, for hybrid ammunition and grenade builds, we talked about the benefits of having multiple weapon sets. Now, this node obviously boosts this to a great extent, as you have 20 more passive points for weapon set allocation available. So if you find yourself in the need of a lot of weapon set points, the Witch Hunter might be the way to go. Apart from that, Witch Hunter has the great defensive skill Sorcery Ward, which protects against a lot of elemental damage. So if you cannot manage to get too many defensive layers with your passive skills or gear, clear, then this is a valuable way to go to boost your defense greatly. The final thing we'll go into here is the Zealous Inquisition that gives 10% chance for enemies to explode on death, giving you increased AoE and clearing if you are struggling with that from before. Now, as for the Gambling Legionary Ascendancy, the first thing that comes to mind is the Gem Study node. This lets you use 2 of the same support gems across your skills, which can be a game changer for some builds. Remember we discussed the Scattershot support earlier, giving 2 additional projectiles to the skill? If your build relies on more than 1 offensive projectile skill, then this is definitely something you should consider going for, as both of these skills could now have 2 additional projectiles. The same idea applies to forking and chaining, which we also discussed earlier. This opens up for great build possibilities. This idea is further boosted by the Integrated Efficiency node, giving 3 additional skill slots. Now the final thing worth discussing is the Enhanced Effectiveness node, doubling all the bonuses of attributes. There are some builds out there being pure attribute stackers, because they get great buffs from items based on how many attributes they are able to stack, such as the Pillar of the Caged God Quarterstaff. So if you end up with several hundred points for each attribute, then this node will definitely be something you should consider taking. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you can click on the playlist in the description to see other Path of Exile 2 videos, or simply click on the video card showing on the screen right now. And remember to subscribe to stay tuned for more upcoming videos.